Have you ever noticed how in Valorant it feels like the players with the best aim just win? If you don't have the best aim in the world, chances are you know exactly what I'm talking about. Seemingly everyone has better aim, and you hardly even get to play the game. Well, what if I said you're approaching the game completely wrong? When people talk about winning gunfights, everyone talks about aim this and aim that. But to be honest with you, that is just the easy answer to give people. The truth is, in Valorant, aim is just a small part of the picture. The real thing that is going to help you not only land shots, but stay alive longer is your movement. Take a look at these fights. To show you how important movement is, we set up Teets in a 1v2. Teets is a top 1000 level player, and is one of the most cracked aimers that I know. We placed him up against 2 other immortal level players, and had him play out 10 rounds where he was able to move, and 10 rounds where he was not able to move. Out of the rounds he was not able to move, he got traded out every single time. On the rounds he was able to move though, despite the numbers being against him, he was still able to win 4 out of the 10 rounds. Now, although 4 out of 10 rounds doesn't sound great, it can actually be very difficult to win a 1v2 without utility, and the fact he was able to do it 4 times really says something. Now you hopefully understand why movement is so important. Not only does it help your aim, but it also makes it a lot more difficult for the enemies to hit you. Chances are, if you feel like you always get one-tapped, your movement sucks. That's why in today's video, we're going to be breaking down 5 radiant movement tips to elevate your game to the next level. Sometimes the nuances are going to get in the way of your improvement though, and we just won't have enough time in this video to cover everything. That's why it might be good to put in that bit of extra effort to really master the game. Our radiant level coaches will make everything easy for you to understand and get you on the right track to improvement. It's all about saving you time at the end of the day. You could spend countless hours learning all the stuff they did on their climb to Radiant, or you could check out Skill Capped and fast track your way to Immortal. Be sure to check out Skill Capped, and we'll see you there. Before you even see a person or think about peeking an angle, you have to ask yourself if you are too close or too far from the swing. If you're too close to the corner, you're going to swing faster, but you'll also see the target later than if you were further away. Generally, swinging close to angles isn't going to be a good idea, and you're normally going to want to peek from further away. But it is just as important not to start your swing too far from the corner, because otherwise your agent will make a running noise, which could give the enemy time to prepare for your swing or even pre-fire you. There is a specific movement where you are at max speed but are not making the running noise yet. Try to familiarize yourself with this timing because this is super important. Once you've mastered it, you can methodically swing each angle without having to risk enemies being over-prepared for your swing. This might be obvious, but it is a lot easier to get kills if the enemy doesn't know where you are. So staying quiet and not giving up your location every single time you check an angle will allow you to catch people off guard. One last thing to remember though before you swing your angle is that the best swings allow you to just hold A or just hold D when swinging. When you're holding any forward momentum on a swing, it's going to result in a much slower swing, and oftentimes this is going to be the make or break in a gunfight. This is something we've noticed a lot recently with specific run and gun type weapons such as the Frenzy and the Spectre. In more enclosed areas where you don't have as much room to wide swing, this can be very detrimental to your swing. When swinging out, you don't want to be claustrophobic. You want to have as much room to work with as possible. Remember, thinking about all these things is what you need to do before the gunfight. Once you're taking the gunfight, now you have more stuff to think about. After you swing and start a gunfight, it's very possible you're not going to land your first shot. So, what should you do if this happens? If you're using a rifle like the Phantom or the Vandal, shooting 2 to 4 bullets then strafing allows you to be deadly but also mobile. If you struggle with spraying all your bullets at someone until you or the other person is dead, that is a habit you need to break. The truth is that unbinding crouch will not help you. It is about being conscious about your movements and discipline not to crouch spray. If 2 people get into a gunfight and one crouch sprays instantly and the other strafes every few bullets, the person strafing will almost always win. This is because when you crouch, you are committed to not moving, so it's easy to readjust their crosshair to your head. So unless the crouching player lands one of their very first shots, the strafing player will likely just readjust their crosshair while strafing and easily finish off the crouching player. To get more kills means you need to take multiple gunfights in a round. You need to be able to win a gunfight and not get traded instantly. Positioning is very important when trying to avoid being traded, but what is also important is quick thinking and movement. After a gunfight, it's important to understand if you are in any danger of getting traded. So even before you take a gunfight, you have to ask yourself if taking the fight is worth it. Is getting 1 kill and dying instantly really getting the maximum value of your life? No. So after taking a smart gunfight, gunfight, use your movement to reposition to a safe area so you can be ready for the next gunfight. These repositions don't need to be massive rotations either. Even just stepping a few feet to the side can be enough to throw off the enemies in some situations. Remember, even if you have the smoothest and best movement, you can still be an easy kill if you are predictable. That's why it's important to be unpredictable by changing your movement for different scenarios. A great example is how people swing angles. Sometimes people get in the habit of swinging the same distance every single time. This makes them an easy target because if someone catches onto this pattern, they can just adjust their crosshair placement and adapt to that type of swing. But unpredictable players use a variety of different swings to throw off the enemy's crosshair placement. This includes jiggle peeking, jump peeking, close peeking, wide swinging, and even pre-firing. These are all movement techniques that you need to master if you want to be an unpredictable player, which will allow you to get more kills. Speaking of things you need to master, something that so many players seem to overlook is how valuable information is in Valorant. If you know somebody is about to swing an angle, you're going to always have your crosshair positioned in the right spot. That's why it's so important that as players, you're constantly limiting the amount of information you're giving away to the enemy team. One of the easiest ways you can give the enemy team information is by making noise with your footsteps. For some reason, it seems like many Immortal players don't know this, but when you hold the shift key, your footsteps are silent and the enemies won't be able to hear you. However, if you're not holding the shift key, your footsteps will be loud, like elephants. This is especially important to utilize in clutch situations because if the enemy team has the spike down, they also have another option. They don't need to kill you, they can just stall the timeout and win the round that way. So if your footsteps are constantly announcing your position, the enemies can easily avoid you and run that timer out before you even have a chance to see them. Finally though, one last tactic we want to mention is actually utilizing jump strafing to force your enemies to miss shots. Like we mentioned, movement isn't just about hitting your shots, sometimes it's about forcing your enemies to miss theirs. For those that maybe haven't noticed, when your character is jumping through the air, you're actually able to change the direction by moving your mouse or using the movement keys. This can be really useful for switching your direction while jumping and making yourself a difficult target to hit. Air strafing is a technique used when jump peeking angles, but it can also be a technique used for pulling a player's crosshair and giving your team the upper hand. A good example of a spot where you may utilize air strafing would be when retaking A site ascent. You don't want to just jump out straight into the middle of sight, so instead you can air strafe off to the right of generator and find some relatively close cover to utilize during your retake. The great part about utilizing a tactic like this as well is if any enemies see you strafe out, they might try to land a shot on you, but since you're a moving target, not only will it be a hard shot to hit, they will not be prepared to deal with your teammates swinging behind you. That's all we got for you today though. Hopefully we were able to teach you a couple of new movement tactics you can utilize in your games. Remember that if you're really looking to improve at Valorant, I highly recommend checking out skillcap.com. We get it, you're just a player trying to get better at the game. That's why you're watching this video in the first place. You're capable of hitting that rank you deserve, but there's no shame in asking for a little help. At skillcap.com, we spend hours going through viewer-submitted replays to let you know all the mistakes that you're making. We also couple this with our Smurf commentaries to show players that it is possible to carry themselves out of whatever rank they're stuck in. It might seem hopeless at times, but trust me when I say we can help you out. All you have to do is check out skillcap.com. Link in the description below.